International news now, and we start with this. 8 children have been rescued from a collapsed building in Nigeria's capital. They were among 100 pupils attending a primary school in a 3-story building in Lagos. It's feared that scores of people may still be trapped. That's not the capital. It's not clear yet what caused the collapse. Another primary school tragedy, this one in Brazil. At least 10 people have been killed in a shooting incident in Sao Paulo, with 17 more wounded. 2 masked adolescents were seen entering the building and opening fire just as classes started. Police say they later shot and killed themselves. Among those killed are 6 children. Algeria's government says it's ready to talk to the opposition. Earlier, the army announced it will preserve the country's security as protests for political change continue. Ailing 82-year-old President Abdelaziz Bouteflika has agreed not to run for a 5th term, but he hasn't stepped down, and he's delayed elections. The mass demonstrations across the country have been going on daily now for 3 weeks. Political turmoil in Britain still. Time is running out before the country's divorce from the European Union comes into effect, and there's no agreement on how this will be done. MPs are again voting tonight on how to proceed. Our correspondent in London is Ollie Barrett. He joins us now. What's going down there, Ollie? What are they voting for? What's on the table?
Today's vote, yet another crucial vote in the Brexit saga. Today's vote is about whether MPs should now proceed with Brexit as planned on the 29th of March, but without no deal in place. And this vote comes because yesterday evening around this time, Theresa May's Brexit deal was again voted down by MPs. So as it stands, there is no deal in place for Britain to leave the European Union, and MPs are now deciding whether to still leave the EU in 16 days' time in that so-called no-deal Brexit scenario. We expect, I think, that a majority of MPs will reject that no-deal idea. But that doesn't end the story, of course, because then Britain has to work out exactly what to do next, how to avoid leaving on the 29th of March with no deal in place. And if there isn't a deal, then some other solution has to be found, which would most likely have to be an extension or a delay to the Brexit process. And we would expect a vote on that in the House of Commons this time tomorrow night. So really daily crucial votes when it comes to Brexit at the moment. As you say, 16 days to go. We don't know when Britain's leaving or how Britain's leaving.
And you're hearing quite a bit about the threats out there, the sort of gentle nudging to secure some sort of vote, the fact that, you know, tariffs are going to have to go up quite dramatically, that sort of information coming out today. What else has been said about the fallout?
Yeah, there's a lot going on still behind the scenes. Remember yesterday, and Theresa May losing that vote was all really based around the fact that her Attorney General, the government's top lawyer, couldn't go far enough with his legal advice to convince enough Conservative MPs to back the deal. Word today that he is talking to some MPs in his own party, but also with the DUP of Northern Ireland, who prop up Theresa May in Westminster, with a view to trying to find some legal finessing, shall we say, that might be able to convert some more MPs to Theresa May's deal. That leaves us in the extraordinary situation where Theresa May, having faced 2 overwhelming defeats for very closely linked versions of her Brexit deal, may actually be thinking about bringing her deal back for a 3rd so-called meaningful vote in Parliament in some point over the next couple of weeks or so, perhaps. So the deal is not quite dead yet, but at the same time, what's really going on is that Parliament is now trying to wrest control from Theresa May and her government. MPs have cooked up all sorts of ways of trying to find a majority in the House of Commons for some other type of Brexit, a compromise Brexit solution. Theresa May will fight against that as much as she can. But as I say, parliamentarians are really starting to flex their muscles now and do whatever they can to get a different type of Brexit through. So the government very weak at this stage. And
word from the EU, I mean, what is it that they'd like to see now, other than a conclusion?
Yeah, the EU want their deal done and dusted, and they say there are no more negotiations to be had. they also say that they now believe that no deal is more likely than it has ever been. So the European Union furiously stepping up its no deal preparations. There is clearly a view at EU level that no deal is going to be much worse for the UK than it is for the European Union as a whole. That's certainly true, but there are various economies in the European Union that really don't want to see a no-deal Brexit. France, of course, so close to the UK, so closely linked in terms of travel, tourism, business flowing over and back across the English Channel, Spain with so many Brits living there and holidaying there, Germany selling so many cars to the UK. You know, these countries can probably weather a no-deal Brexit better than Britain can, but they also don't want to see one. And that doesn't mean that the European Union is going to suddenly make some huge, great big new offer to the UK in terms of negotiations. We really are, again, at an impasse in that regard.
OK, Ollie, thank you. A mother from Dar es Salaam has become a global sensation, even attracting the attention of President Donald Trump. It's all thanks to her kipi-uppy technique.
Wherever Hadara Mjeja goes, she attracts crowds, coming to watch in awe at her seemingly impossible soccer skills. And now this mother from Dar es Salaam is on the verge of becoming a global star.
Mimi nimeanza kuchezea maganda ya machungwa. Yaani nilikuwa napenda.
I started juggling using orange peels and I liked it a lot. I watched Ronaldo and Messi and they inspired me. I used orange peels and then a handmade soccer ball and finally a proper soccer ball.
Hadara couldn't become a soccer player because of a problem with her breathing. But she spent years honing her kipi-uppy technique, eventually catching the eye of event promoters in East Africa. A recent video of her in Malawi went viral and was retweeted by President Trump, gaining her new fans across the world. And back home in Tanzania, she's earned grudging respect from the players of what is a male-dominated sport.
I have observed her skills and I feel intimidated. There is no way I could match her ball control. She's been recognized globally, so it's time we recognized her as well.
Our leaders, let's not only support men's soccer, support the women as well. President Magufuli, take care of this lady. She has an amazing talent and she's flawless.
Hadara is now waiting to hear about a potentially life-changing sponsorship deal off the back of that viral video. In the meantime, she's using her head to keep making videos and draw even more fans.
Ronald, who I suspect is envious of those skills, is standing by with sport and then fake news and threats against journalists. We tackle that with a new press ombudsman.